It's a great pleasure to have you, Ashley Koff, here and for us to have a talk about a number of things, but including about glutamine. Mm-hmm. We have a number of aspects of biology that have been forgotten. Glutamine is one, magnesium is another. Proper forms of ascorbate, nature's ascorbate, also important in the mix. And so let's do a deep dive, starting with glutamine, how to benefit from it, and what do we do that needs glutamine?
Yeah. As a dietitian, I was trained in nutrition at a sort of the government level or the medical level, just sort of the standard nutrition, right? I, of course, went on to learn from individuals like you and others and have expanded into more, personalized and whole person focused nutrition. But in the early days, I was taught that we have essential amino acids, and those are really the only ones that we need to get in from food. And there are others that the body just makes, so don't worry about that part. And then there was this group of conditionally essential amino acids. And I think I was sharing with you that when I was training at County Hospital, one of my favorite rotations was in the burn unit, and I was able to see the literally life-changing benefits of glutamine because of how quickly at very high doses we were able to repair skin and help the body's healing process. And when you see something external like that, and then you learn that it internally, this is what this does, especially in the lining of our digestive tract, which is where I was focusing my work. I was like, wow. And so I actually more quickly became the publicist literally for magnesium, but I felt like my mea culpa or my next phase of work had to be to create awareness around glutamine. And as we all know, it is found in food. So we don't want to dismiss that part. But I've come to believe that the conditions of living in 2024 are such that we can no longer call glutamine conditionally essential. So what I want to know, obviously, from lab testing and also from evaluating somebody's diet is, do I think that your body is, number one, getting in enough of this glutamine, but number two, is it actually able to break it down and use it in that part? And so this all led me on a path to this conversation with you, because I have been recommending glutamine and had been originally just looking at the sources of glutamine to make sure that they were cleaner, and just kind of always in this zone of 3 to 5 grams, and by the way, I would do beautifully with that. But then the team at Perk reached out and they were like, you've got to check out EnduraPack. And I knew about PAC, but again, I was also a little suspicious because sometimes I would see things and I was like, that's PAC, but that's not PAC. Anyway, you have created a glutamine that is my patients do better with at a lower dose and for a variety of applications. And that's why I was like, we got to have this conversation. So tell me about how you figured out why we can't just all glutamine, especially in a supplement form, isn't created equal.
Well, from stress to toxins to burns to other inflammatory conditions, the need for glutamine is pervasive. Mm-hmm. Yes, in the textbooks, which are 20 or 30 years out of date, most of them. Mm-hmm. In the textbook, it says conditionally essential. What you have said correctly is that conditions of today make it essential. Mm-hmm. And better to have a little more than a little less, but it's always, from my point of view, the Goldilocks scenario. Mm-hmm. Not too little, not too much. Just right is just right. Now, the just right here has to do with these lining cells of the digestive tract. They're called enterocytes. They use energy very rapidly, and they require glutamine to extract energy. They can't get it from sugar, fat, or protein. They can't get it from amino acids. If they don't get glutamine, they wither away, they atrophy. And enteropathy has become epidemic, along with maldigestion and partial digestion of our foods, and taking up through a possibly leaky gut, partially digested food remnants, which become foreign invaders to the body, burdening the immune defense and repair system. I want people to be able to digest, assimilate, and eliminate within 12 to 18 hours and without creating immune burden. So this means complete digestion down to the elemental building blocks. Very important to look inside these enterocytes. And what we discovered was the body has the ability to recycle glutamine. It can make glutamine by liberating an amine that liberates the energy, but then that amine can be added back to a glutamate, reducing glutamate and creating a new glutamine that can be used by the cell for energy. Yes, we did introduce this to the world. Yes, Mildred Seelig of beloved memory used to say magnesium is the forgotten electrolyte. Rana Lean has succeeded her and does wonderful work about magnesium, of which we are very fond. And the combination of recycled glutamine with properly enhanced magnesium uptake using choline citrate to triple the uptake of the magnesium, it's a trifecta. Mm-hmm. This is working with nature. And we were fortunate to be the first ones to publish about this and to patent it and to make sure that it's done correctly. Because as you said, today, good marketing can trick and fool you. And I think it was Churchill who said, the truth can't even get its pants on when a well-marketed rumor goes around the world.
Right.
So yes, I am happy to try to make links and connections between the important molecular biology, the biochemistry, and the physiology, how it translates into better life. Thriving in the 21st Century is a book that we recommend to readers, consumers, professionals, because you're right. Of the 8,000 hours that I had in postgraduate education, 8 of the 8,000 were devoted to nutrition. And 4 of them were taken by endocrinology and biochemistry because they needed an extra lecture. Clearly, nature, clearly, nutrition was respected. Eat 3 square meals or 3 round meals a day and you'll be fine, except the plates have been getting bigger. Every decade, the plates are getting bigger. We have half of the food that young people eat today from ultra-processed, packaged in plastic, packaged in beverages that are packaged in plastic. So they're taking in microplastics, anti-nutrients, and they're not getting the essentials.
I like to say that, like, at best, that's metabolically inert food as opposed to metabolically active. You know, I think that's...
I agree with that, but it's worse than metabolically inert.
It's mostly destructive. Yes, that's right. That's right. Exactly. That's what I said. At best, it's inert in the, you know, what we're seeing play out on that part. And, you know, this glutamine conversation comes up in so many of the, like, I'm a marketer, so I don't know if you know this about me, but I actually, before I became a dietitian, let me just admit that I went out of college and I worked in a large global advertising agency. My client, for J. Walter Thompson, and my client was Kellogg's, and I sold sugared cereals. I told you that sugared cereals, so Raisin Bran Crunch, Smart Start, Conflict Diamonds, hair color telling you, you would have the love of your life, like all of this stuff. And so I love marketing and selling. So I start with that. So when we talk about being the publicist for glutamine, I want to also bring it to what I find are on my patient's mind and what I'm getting asked about in the media the most right now. So a couple of different areas, alcohol, yay or nay. And I always talk about alcohol as we know that it's going to affect the lining of your digestive tract, glutamine. So then we talk about, people are asking me about, do I need a semi-glutide, or they're coming in and they're saying, I'm on a semi-glutide. I said, okay, well, these hormones in your body, and I'm writing a book on this, your metabolic switch, your PYY, your CCK, your GLP-1, et cetera, they're made in the lining of the digestive tract. They're made in the L cells, everything that Dr. Jaffe is talking about here. So if you don't have sufficient glutamine, oversimplification, but if you don't have sufficient glutamine, you're not going to be having optimal production and deployment of these. So whether or not you use a medication or a peptide hormone, et cetera. So then it brings me to peptides. So people are like, well, what about BPC? BPC, it's off the market now. What about now PDA? What about these others? And I said, well, peptides are phenomenal interventions, especially when there's something right now that we need to shift so that we can then enable you to engage in optimizing your nutrition, optimizing your health. And in the way that Dr. Jaffe is describing this, your glutamine is actually performing and potentially even outperforming some of the peptides, that we're talking about that may not be accessible or that may be expensive, et cetera, or they're at least a complement to optimizing those. And then the final one would be hormone therapy. Yeah, go ahead.
Tell you about myself in this regard.
Sure.
I take 1.5 grams of glutamine with pack on rising. Amino acids best on an empty stomach. Mm-hmm. And then 1.5 grams before bed with 0.5 gram of pack. And my hormone levels by stratification, if you look at how old I am according to my hormones, neurochemicals, detoxification pathways, digestion, I come out between 35 and 40.
And you look it. So there we go. Well, that's perfect. Yes.
But please, when you can, do come and visit.
Yes.
We have a guest cottage. You can enjoy how and why we live the way we do, and hopefully make suggestions of how we can live and enjoy even better. Yeah. So I'm in favor of using nature's precursors to make the hormones, the GLP-1s, all of those acronyms that we are so eager to have the world understand. Yeah. We've been doing cell cultures, as you know, since 1983. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When we started doing cell cultures and told people how important T cell immune responses were, they said, can you spell that?
Yeah. Right.
Literally.
Right.
We've done 100,000 specimens. We've done 30 million cell cultures. We know how to restore, rehabilitate, renew the body through nature, nurture, and wholeness. Yeah. Get the glutamine in that you need. Take magnesium with enhanced uptake choline citrate. We've documented that it triples the uptake of magnesium, and you never get the runs from the magnesium. And yes, I am highly confident that we can save 1 million lives a year with improved lifestyle as we're describing. Save $1 trillion of the $4 trillion we spend on healthcare today. We could save $1 trillion by not having to patch up and fix people from heart attacks, cardiovascular, stroke, cancer, autoimmunity everywhere, diabetes and its complications everywhere, weight issues, sleep issues, stress issues everywhere, except where I live. We have created a personal blue zone. The concept of blue zones is that there are places on the planet where people live well, long, and enjoy their lives with a high quality. I want everyone to live in a personal blue zone.
Oh my gosh, I love that expression, because I feel the same way, and I feel like we both have a luxury, and that is that we have experienced what it feels like to feel healthy, to have our body systems communicating, and there have been times where I haven't felt healthy, and as a result, I'm so motivated to feel healthy because I know that experience. So many people are starting off with the deck stacked against them and they're not feeling healthy. And this is really from those early phases. So that's also why, when I look at glutamine, this is one of those early interventions that I use in young people. I'm very young. I'm trying to prevent everything from acne to dysbiosis to weight gain, to so many things that color not just our physiologic aging and experience early on, but also our mental health and our traumas. With glutamine, I think that there's another piece of this, and that is that the supplement industry, and I come from the marketing background, so there are so many publicists, they're at play here. And so what, we'll hear a lot about is, oh, this probiotic doesn't work. So you need this probiotic, this bacteria versus this bacteria. So, you have a bifidopublicist against a lactobacilli. And I was like, hey, we can all get along. And, now we have these novel commensal, or novel probiotics. So we've got, Akkermansia and Clostridiums being talked, and et cetera. But one of the other ones, for one of the reasons that I've been such a proponent of glutamine is also that these critters, what happens in your tube can't be effective if the tube is defective or has defects or has. So I think that that's another piece too, where, if you're either working with a patient or if you're somebody who has tried a probiotic, if you've been like, oh, my gut isn't healthy, or I'm doing magnesium and I'm taking a probiotic and my poop still, it's difficult for me to poop, or I'm not regular, or, these sorts of things. It's one of the reasons that I often come back to glutamine is just, reminding people that a house, doesn't matter if you have an air conditioner to turn on, if the house has, if the windows leak and the roof leaks and, it's getting out. And so that, yeah. So I think that, to me has been a really, very important one. And I thought it might just also be helpful for us to list out for people. I'm curious if you'll add on to, because these are the ones that immediately come up for me, of ones that when I'm doing a history with somebody, if I say, have you had any of these? And I don't even put a time associated with it, but, I'll look at antibiotics, I'll look at NSAIDs, so non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, otherwise known as aspirin, ibuprofen. I'll look at actual anti-inflammatories. So if you've taken, on that part, steroids, corticosteroids, et cetera, definitely Accutane, I think in terms of alcohol. Do you drink alcohol? Have you drank alcohol? Certainly if you have a diagnosis of diverticulosis or diverticulitis, or if you've had any insult or injury like a colitis or diagnosed with Crohn's, et cetera, on that part. And I also will look at it if you're on a PPI, so a proton pump inhibitor in that space. I feel like that runs the gamut. Am I missing others that you feel that could be attacking the lining? Yeah. Stress? Yes. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Solution. It's called a digestive quintet.
Okay.
These are two components to stimulate proper stomach digestion.
Digestion. Great.
Because stomach digestion is routinely impaired and everything downstream from the stomach gets impaired because of that.
Okay.
So we recommend what's called a digestive aid, which is 3 drops in anything wet and warm to start a meal.
Okay.
The best way to start a meal was something wet and warm. And if you put 3 drops of digestive aid, you will support the stomach to be able to digest.
Great. Okay.
The second is L-histidine. L-histidine is a simple amino acid. It is the source of the proton that the stomach needs.
Okay.
L-histidine is deficient almost as much as glutamine.
Yeah, okay.
For a variety of reasons. Number 3, fiber, prebiotic, unprocessed fibers. We have a specific combination of 4 that we have gotten very good results with. Of course, gluten-free, grain-free. Then probiotics. And I agree with you. Very often we see reports that this one probiotic is better than that one probiotic.
Yes.
And I'm not sure why they're fighting with each other, because I want a wide variety of organisms in my healthy digestive tract. And I get that by taking 40 to 100 billion forming units. These are freeze-dried probiotics, multiple that reactivate when they get into the body. This is different than most probiotics because they might tell you how many live organisms there were when it was made, like the yogurt was made.
Right.
They tell you how many at the time you take it. And by the way, they're mostly dead. And dead bugs are not as good as live bugs.
Yeah. Yep.
And then we get to Endurapac, which is the recycled glutamine.
My hero.
Digestive quintet. And I would start that second.
Okay.
First, start with vitamin C, magnesium choline citrate, and maybe glutamine.
Interesting. Okay.
And then I would focus on the quality of the microbiome and the digestion. and to explain the communion, the constant conversation between the gut nervous system and the central nervous system through the bidirectional vagus highway. We now know it goes both ways.
Both ways, yes.
Years ago, we were told, oh, it only goes from the
No. Yes. And I think us ladies have always known it's been bidirectional. It just took time to prove it out. Yeah.
Wisdom traditions deserve respect.
Yeah.
Different points of view. The traditional Chinese view and acupuncture and all that, that's a completely different worldview, but it gets very good results when it's done with integrity, with respect for nature, nurture, and wholeness.
Right.
Same thing with Ayurveda and yoga. Same thing with mindfulness, relaxation, response. Dr. Herb Benson at Harvard, for many years, published books about the relaxation response and how he reduced stress hormones like cortisol and other stress neurochemicals like adrenalines, and improve serotonin and melatonin naturally by how you breathe and learn to relax.
Yes.
So I'm a big...
All of which are a little bit easier with the right amount of glutamine. Let's just add that in.
Amen for glutamine.
That's right. That's right.
Specifically for this recycled glutamine, which never raises glutamate, but gets the job done.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I have so many different questions and thoughts, but I'm going to keep us to the glutamine topic. And this is just a pleasure to be able to have the conversation.
We can come back another time for another.
Good. I would absolutely love to. I'm so happy we were able to make this work. I'd love to be able to promote the video. So just have everybody send around to me. Sam has been great. And I look forward to having another conversation. I'd really love it. Okay.
Mutually.